Hola, Mary Claude. What did you get to in Spanish? Do you speak Spanish? Do you speak Spanish? Oh my God, what happened? You get too close to the sun again there, buddy?
Who, me?
No, the person behind you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I was like, I jumped in. Yeah, building pools. It'll get you.
Building pools, yeah. I tell you, man, 'tis the season. Like, you guys must have got an early start because the so you get two trains of thoughts here. A, from the landscaping, pool industry, all that outdoor work. Early start, bingo. I'm out. I'm making coin, right? Then you see the Facebook post. Leave the leaves alone for the bees and the ant, and it's like, fuck.
Right. We've been building actually since January.
Yeah, I know you were saying that.
So we just obviously it's just amping up now. And it was funny because last week, all of a sudden, just call after call after call. Oh, we want a pool. We want a pool. This week, all of a sudden, no phone calls. It's funny how people are so.
So you haven't. So your guy hasn't found a reduction in sales or potential sales. That people are.
No, everything's still going pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah, okay. Like last week, the phone wouldn't stop ringing just of people wanting to rush. Like, can you build a pool for us this season? We're already booked for the season, though. We might take a special every now and then, but for the most part, we're already booked.
So you need to get one of those little turtle pools and give it to them as loaners.
Yeah.
Just say, here,
I mean,
go flip around.
There is those really cheap pools now. Like my buddy bought one for his kids because he obviously during COVID wanted a pool, but everything was booked. And those like inflatable ones that are only like $250, and it's actually they got mini chlorinators. I would honestly get one of those instead.
We went up to you don't know him. He's a guy with GFS. We went up, I think, last summer, and he's up in Newmarket, and he had one of those Costco ones that were, the inflatable and the ones that you're saying. It was like $900 or something like that, eh? And he says, well, I said, well, what do you do with it in the winter? He goes, well, I guess I'm going to find out. And it's like, yeah, I guess you kind of are. Like, we were up looking at, there's a place up in Rockwood called Bunkies for Life, because we're looking at putting a bunkie, and I don't know if you remember the backyard, there was that shed at the cottage. So we're everyone who works for the township of South Bruce, plug your ears. We're putting in a new shed. and basically it will be a storage shed, but if people have to sleep in it, they can. It won't be for renters. But this Bunkies for Life, they make all their own, and all the wood is sourced from pretty much Canada and stuff like that. But they've got these hot tubs that are like wood, right?
Yeah.
And they're they're wood. Like you use wood like a campfire to heat them up.
Yeah, so you can do like a poor man's hot tub and put, whatever underneath the horse trough or whatever. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Did we lose Ken, or has he joined yet? Or
well, Ken's here. Don't you see him?
I'm here.
He always does that because he's in his underwear. He's just changing.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Nancy's in Grand Rapids. She's down at GFS headquarters, and she popped in. I think she's popped out because I think she's pooped. So anyway,
yeah, I don't know how long I have in my.
That's fine. Well, then get it out of your system now, then, man. Yeah. Get it out of your system.
I'm obviously just biding our time. Asia, China, Hong Kong will be legalizing crypto in June. There's already been conventions and stuff. Like I'm in a Telegram with actually my favorite trader, that Panda guy that I told you about. I've been in his Telegram for a bit. So he's got a ton of it's all Chinese now. And for the most part, obviously, I don't even bother anymore, but there is the translate. And sometimes I'll translate something because you have to manually translate each message.
Oh,
so I've kind of but there's also a Twitter side, an Asian side to Twitter that I'll go on now. And he's even all this Panda guy does is tweeting Chinese and stuff. But it just seems like China and Asia is just a lot more bullish than obviously the West. And does it really matter? Does the West really matter in this game when there's only 350 million people to North America and billions across, India, China and all that? So I'm just all of them are talking about the beginning of a bull market, and we're going to go from a slow pull till the fall, then we'll come down for a bit, and then 2024 they're just saying absolute fireworks. So I'm kind of like trying to keep the FOMO at rain because I only have so much more fresh powder to put in. But
well, I think that it's going to be interesting to see because BRIC, what is it? Brazil,
BRICS,
Russia, India, and China are all sort of collaborating to start trading in their own circle. Creating their own currencies, and I don't know if they're going to create CBDCs or whatever. But you know what? When those like India, what did they say? What did the article say today? That India is slated like this summer to become the world's largest population.
Yeah, and I remember I shared a thing on my Twitter about like all these people who are just so obsessed with the West and stuff like that. Well, when you look at that partnership, the BRICS, and all the people who are also interested, it's going to, like, population-wise, it's going to outnumber, Western Europe and North America and stuff like this. Like, the tides are turning. And although we, maybe 70 years ago, this would be very concerning, but in an era where we can invest in all these different things and we can invest in the East and stuff. And
so that's a good question. 70 years, you said 70 years ago?
I'm just saying, like,
a decade ago,
in the 80s, you could have still played, across.
So why back then would it have been a concern, and today it's not?
Just less technology to move, number one, even I look back actually even 20, 30 years ago, I started playing stocks when I was 16. I had to call TD Waterhouse, and each trade was $40. I had to like authorize it over the phone. It took forever. I had to use my password. And every trade was $40 in and out. Now you've got, a 10-year-old can use Robinhood, pennies on the dollar and stuff like that. So we just have a lot more opportunity to mess in. And obviously crypto is 24/7 all across the world, stuff like this. Obviously you can jump from, LAX or LA opens, you can play their markets. You could go, or for the West, and then you can play the East. Like it's nonstop. It's 24/7.
Do you think that because that the cryptocurrencies and all of the trading platforms and stuff are 24/7, that it will ever persuade the traditional stock markets to go 24/7?
Nope. Because the stock markets have hours of business. Crypto doesn't have an hours of business.
But if you're open longer, if you were open 24/7, couldn't you make more money?
You could, yeah.
Isn't there over the counter?
Yeah, aftermarket trading and stuff. But you and I don't think are we can't get in on that.
No, and to be honest, I was never going to touch stocks again. I'm about to probably break that rule with one industry, which is going to be AI. Because AI is just, people have no idea what we're in for on that one. Like I don't love what's coming, but at the same time, it's like, well, my life's going to be destroyed by this, so I might as well invest in it, and hopefully it retires me. That way I don't have to worry about it.
Well, Elon even now wants in on ChatGPT, so it's like, he's the one that's going out with all these, tunnel boring and putting, the SpaceX and all this and that, and, autonomous cars and all these outlandish and futuristic ideas. And now he wants ChatGPT. My money every day gets more and more betting on him that he's the one that's going to be, I don't know, the Jekyll and Hyde.
For sure. I don't trust
Frankenstein, the mad professor, however you want to coin this dude.
I mean, he never started Tesla either, right?
They got pills for that, right?
Yeah, but he owns that company.
Yeah, exactly.
He owns that company, and the only pill that I'm interested in is the orange pill right now, and that's Bitcoin.
Hey, Tim, you mentioned that you got a little bit of powder to invest. I want you to look at the Elmo token.
Elmo?
Yeah, it's getting listed on a tier 2 exchange in the next 2 or 3 days.
What's its utility? Like, give me a quick synopsis.
I have no idea. All I know is the whale group that I'm following, they're all in it.
Well, I know, like, right now that there's that PP and all these weird ones are going crazy right now. Frogs. So maybe Elmo might be part of that.
It might be, but I don't know.
So hard to chase a meme these days. Like right now, there's memes like all these new memes are going up 12,000 or I don't even know. I'm butchering it, but like I talked to Rohit, and Rohit's killing it right now. He's jumping from meme to meme and doing all this. I'm like, I don't have time building pools. I get home, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why like I'll get into small, like I've been getting in some AI memes and stuff like that, but I need something that can sustain. But unfortunately, these memes that are popping off, they're not gonna last forever. But
take a look at Meme Gold.
Meme Gold. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's at 1.5 million market cap right now. It keeps jumping between that and 900,000.
Oh wow, that's
there's heavy. There's heavy. I don't know what it's about, but there's heavy players in that one. It's called Meme Gold.
Meme Gold.
Well, I think you know, it seems that a lot of the buzz and you know, the talk about, you know, getting in and all these good deals and all that has subsided over the last year and a half to 2 years. And I think as we start to get more into a bull run, you're going to see more of these coins come out that aren't anything other than just a big scam, and you're going to have people lose their freaking shirt again.
Yeah, I mean,
well, it's not that there's scams. What's happening right now is somebody will launch a contract, they'll renounce it, and then it's like a community token. It's up to the community whether they want to invest or not. That's a lot of them are like that now.
Was that apparent back in 2020? Where it was more of a community token, or has that evolved through the pandemic?
It was community driven, and then it became scam driven, and now it's kind of going back to community driven.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of scams out there still coming out, but a lot of these tokens, they're launching, and within 5 minutes, liquidity is locked for like a year, and the contracts are announced.
How's our kitty doing?
I mean, game wise, they're building. Price wise hasn't moved much. Volumes, it's kind of like graveyard shift. But the good news with there was one coin. Oh, I forget what it is. I'd been watching it for a while, and all of a sudden it was a graveyard shift type volume, and then it just went nuts, like back into 1 million and something. Because when you got bots and you got all these other things that follow, like in a stock market back in the day, if I played penny stocks and stuff like that, when a stock hit like a graveyard shift of volume, it wasn't coming back. Like there was no internet as much or anything like that. And now I used to think the same about crypto. I was like, oh, it's in a graveyard shift. You know, it's no volume at all. And then all of a sudden, like some news hits, it signals off the bots. The bots go crazy. Retail FOMO's back in because they got alerts on. So I'm not as worried about it. I'm more worried about just, are they building? And they're still building. They're still doing awesome. They've got like a few different levels now. I haven't bought any fresh kitty in a while, but I definitely still have been adding because like a lot of people are saying that gaming, play to earn, all this stuff is going to be obvious. And I said this before I even got into gaming. But I was obviously not into gaming, so I was like, but I still said that the gateway for the regular person to actually use crypto was going to come from gaming. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to use it to buy all your little accessories and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why I didn't, had I invested when I said that, I would have been in on a much earlier run. But
if you want to look at a really good game, look at the Kingdom token.
Kingdom. Is that DeFi Kingdoms?
I don't know if it says DeFi in front of it or not.
Because it's been around for a while with that one. And it's
Joey is the
Kingdom's
dev.
Been around for a while.
I've
heard of Kingdom.
I've heard of DeFi Kingdoms, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like Katana. I haven't gotten in it yet because it just went on a run. So I've been a lot more patient with not buying it high like I did with sometimes with some of my kitty and stuff. But Katana Inu, I absolutely love for a game. That would be my next.
Is that the same as the Katana board game?
No. I love that game. I've been playing a lot on weekends with. I've gotten this past weekend. We had like about 10 people playing different games. Obviously, you can only max play 6 with Catan, but we had like 15-year-old my buddies or a neighbor's kid who's 15. He comes over all the time now. Asks his parents if he could come play with the old people. He's there and
babysitting.
Yeah, and like it's huge. Like it's crazy. Like we got all these generations, all these people who would think, like playing games with 40-year-old people on a Saturday night would be geeky, but they were loving it. And I absolutely love Catan. I'm addicted to it. But no, Katana Inu is the concept is I think it's up to like I'm not even gonna say because I'm butchering it, but like dozens and dozens at least of characters. You can make your own like characters, I believe, eventually in the game, and you can fight, and you basically fight till there's one left. So it's like this Royal Rumble, And that just sounds fun, like, not that I'm a big video game guy, but I can still at least appreciate a concept and stuff. And the reason why I got into Kitty is because the only game that, like me, who I stopped playing video games at Super Nintendo, but you still put up Mario Kart from any new thing and I would play it and I would love it. So that's why I'm still the highest on Kitty Inu. But I also love the team and stuff like that. But Katana Inu has really impressed me. This is all Rohit now. Like, basically half the information I give you on memes now is all, I got to give props to Rohit.
Yeah, I'm following Katana in Telegram.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And is it provided? Because one thing, Telegram, I haven't been able to get in the last couple of weeks. Is it a good Telegram? Like, you can tell a lot by Telegram.
Yeah, no, the Telegram's really busy.
Okay.
So it's alive. There's a lot of people involved.
But I mean, you see too, like on CoinGecko, you'll see trending categories, which are kind of like, it's not a great system by any means, but I'll just I've got a few named off, like ZK Snarks category, L1's Arbitrum's a big category these days trending. But some of the biggest trends that you always see is AI and gaming and play to earn. Those are separate. Gaming and play to earn are separate. But you keep seeing those like three interchangeably at the highest things. And you go in and you see all this stuff popping off. And it's like, okay, I'm in AI coins right now. I'm in gaming with Kitty. And unfortunately, I'm still sitting there waiting. But I think AI obviously is just going to, stocks going to go crazy, which then, crypto will follow suit. Whether or not it's as legit as some of the stocks, who knows? Crypto doesn't care, right? It's just a trend.
Well, it'll be interesting to see the AI. I mean, I think there's more companies that aren't necessarily being public about it, but there are more companies understanding that their virtual reality, their AI, and all of this stuff, they better get on the ship, or it's going to sail on them.
Or I mean,
they're going to become another Blockbuster if they're not on there. You know what I mean?
Right. 2 McDonald's, right, in Las Vegas. I want to say I don't even know the other one, man. My brain's mush right now. But just fully
automated
robots. Nothing.
Yep. You missed it. You missed the one where I don't know. Maybe you did tune in, but Nancy had been to some trade show or whatever, and she had to babysit this robot. And it wasn't your typical robot. It was like a stand that would be for like a long-term care facility or whatever. And it would basically come out of the kitchen, and it had 3 levels of trays, but you would program it in and it would stop at every single table.
Right.
It could also go into someone's room, bring up Zoom, and it could interact with their loved ones or something like this. So, it's, and then she was just, I think at Restaurants Canada, trade show or whatever it was. And she said, this year compared to last year, the robotics is increased like 200%.
Oh, it's going to evolve at such a fast pace. I know Einstein, and I'm not a big fan of Einstein, but he said, I fear the day when technology will exceed our humanity. And that was like, he wasn't even on the level of understanding what we're dealing with right now. And I even think cell phones, right? I mean, it exceeded our humanity because most people use them as they're driving. And I mean, I've been guilty of that too, but like, we're using them for, we use YouTube and we use the internet to look at cat videos or something like that when there's so much information. So it's already exceeded our capacity to use, most things for good. So when AI comes, you look at too, like, I know we spoke about this last time, so I won't rehash it too much, but how ChatGPT shows bias towards things. You can make fun of some things that like clearly the media is after, but you can't make fun of the other things that are in the woke category. Mm-hmm. So whoever's designing the AI then becomes kind of like the dictator to what this AI is going to kind of go after, right? And algorithms are shown to be biased. So even if you were on the AI side of, it's going to be great, you got to pose that ethical question about who's designing them and what positions they're going to take.
You're right. And I think the technology that is created under the umbrella of AI, we all just basically become sort of a licensee to it. You know what I mean? Indirectly, we become licensees because our trade-off is all of the information that that someone would gather through their platform of AI or their platform of virtual reality, unbeknownst to them, is getting trickled out somehow to like a chaos GPT or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but I mean, it isn't that secure. I mean, it's there. If there's a way of putting something out for free, then there certainly is a way of taking all that information and using it for their own benefit.
Oh, nothing's going to be safe.
No,
Nothing.
no, I don't even think a VPN is going to serve a purpose anymore, whether that's going to slow anything down in the future or not.
I read an article and I didn't read a whole lot into it. My brain was mush that night, but like it was basically what you just said, that VPNs are going to be like, everything's going to be, you know, meaningless because, well, also AI is going to be able to seek it out. Like, I don't know if anyone saw, AI did a Jay-Z track. It was not Jay-Z. It was just, they studied the voice and made a whole new track. I can't remember who, and it was amazing. And then another one just did Drake and The Weeknd.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yes,
and that obviously, and they're saying, oh, we got to stop this. It's a fraud. How are you going to stop it? You've already let the cat out of the bag. You know, like it's same with Napster, right? And it just reminded me immediately of Napster. I'm like, these guys are literally trying to stop Napster on steroids.
Yeah,
you know, like
we have as much luck in changing and stopping that as we do of all these taxes that we pay.
Right. I mean, I just went to the grocery store today and bought one bag of groceries, and it was $56.
I know.
And it wasn't even anything that was going to make my dinner. It was just a bunch of snacks and stuff. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
We bought a couple of bags of chips recently or popcorn or whatever the case is. And it's all air. Half of it's air.
Well, that too. Yeah. We're getting less quantity.
And here's the deal. We're talking about being friendly for the environment and stuff like this. And here you are wasting half a bag of plastic. You know, maybe the marketing scheme is to bag it and airlock it. And then there's the marketing scheme, because I'm conserving this and conserving that. And you can really see what you're getting for your money. I read
a thing the other day that was just about like how actually, if we're talking carbon emissions and all the stuff that you see now, like I can't remember what website I ordered 4 books on Amazon and it had the carbon emissions rating on it. And I was like, get out of here. Yeah. But how much carbon emissions it caused to get my books to my house and stuff.
Get out.
Yeah. It was the first, I wish I'd taken a picture of it. I'm sure if anyone else orders maybe on that, you'll get that too, but
wow.
It's still less carbon than what was around here in the prehistoric times, though. So
I know. And back then, all you had was gigantic plants and trees and bigger bugs, because that's what CO2 does. That's why I always laugh at all this crap. Like they're trying to convince us that cow farts are a cause, when like literally the ocean and the volcanoes emit more, you know, CO2 than anything pretty much in the world combined a year. You know, and don't get me wrong, I believe we're destroying our planet, our water systems, everything. We're destroying them. But selling the lie that is CO2 is complete. It's just to absolutely screw over the common person.
I wonder how much runway this Earth has left in it.
I think a lot more than we give it credit for. But at the same time, that's no reason for us to continue being, you know,
disrespectful,
totally, self-absorbed and not give a shit at all. Throw out your garbage, pretend like, the funny part is I am a hippie who is totally against the global warming or climate change initiative. Like, I believe we need to clean up our waters. We need to stop polluting stuff. We need to stop clear cutting stuff. But at the same time, I'm not gonna jump on the EV bandwagon, because I think that's a scam. You know, it's such a layered paradox that I am with all this stuff, because
Isn't the EV sort of controversial and hypocritical?
100%.
What they say, but I mean, and look at the case. Look in fact of, or you know, take an example of California. It's like, conserve your electricity but use EV. It's like, what?
Right. And you can't sustain, like, you can't, number one, you still can't drive an EV across the country. Like,
no.
Number two, there's not enough, like, you don't have the infrastructure at all. Even within the 10 years that they say they're going to stop selling gas cars, you're not going to have that infrastructure. And then you just look at the complete absolute lies that are lithium mining and stuff like that, and how carbon neutral, you know, how neutral it is and how good it is for the environment. It's not. It's just the same. It's just about control. You're just waiting for the fat cats to like move and have their monopoly on lithium and all the other stuff. There you go. Exactly. Redbeard said it. New blood diamonds. Like all systems are.
They've already said that there's not enough minerals to build these batteries to replace every vehicle that's currently on the earth. So what are we gonna do? All
And
carpool, or everybody's gonna be on trains,
We're
or
going to have scooters.
you know, like
I mean, there's definitely more systems. You know, you see these people who use peanut oil from restaurants and stuff. Like there's other systems out there. And I'll go as far as saying I believe it now, but I do believe that you'll be, you know, you look at obviously, well, hydrogen alone is actually at least a believable thing. But I believe that there's better ways to use water as a fuel source for cars. Obviously, that's going down a massive rabbit hole, but that's just my belief system and understanding of
I
stuff.
mean, let's face it. Back in the day, your flour mill, your sawmills were all on a waterfall on a river that generated the power to do everything they needed to do.
Right. If
And
anyone's interested, looking at this is one of the things that I actually look into that would, I think, fit into this category is cavitation, which is the implosion of a water bubble. And really cool thing is sonoluminescence, which is when they use acoustic frequencies in a jar of water, it causes the pressure to kind of implode on each other. And this little light in the middle of the jar forms in a jar of water, you know, like, and they think it's got the power of the sun. And obviously it's this blue light. And it's just fascinating because they obviously is that cold fusion, like, you know, which they had debunked a while ago.
Chemical reaction?
No, well, it's caused by implosion. It's caused by the pressure going inwards, and then the water bubble implodes and causes this huge amount of expender of energy. And you look at what they've been using cavitation for. Now there's rumors, which I believe, but it's up to you to do your research, in which some people have used cavitation to create an over unity, getting more energy out of, you know, the system that they've put in. And obviously for steam machines, stuff like this, they're using cavitation. I now have a little device that I got at the computer store, and it's $30. It's a cavitation thing, and you put in. So my brother's got old Star Wars toys. Not that they're worth anything much because they've been opened, as he played with them as a kid, but they're filthy. And he's like, they're filthy. I can't even whatever. I'm like, I read something. I'm like, let me try it. And I went and bought this cavitation thing, and you put the little Star Wars guy in there, and the little bubbles, you don't even see them. They're just so micro fine. And they've cleaned most of those Star Wars off like dirt that you never thought would come off just using water bubbles, right? And this is being used for water filtration, just the implosion of the water bubble.
Well,
that's ultrasonic cleaner, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, you figure it's they do that. They use water and they can cut steel.
Right.
That's the power of water. Water is under pressure. Like, okay, when it's in that form, it's under man-made pressure. But I mean, there are ways that, you know, there's probably stuff from our history that, you know, is still to be, you know, rediscovered. That is like, oh, there's the solution.
Yep, I've been having talks where I'm just, and like I said, my brain's mush, so it doesn't help with that. But even before, when I'd be collaborating with this doctor and he'd be talking about things with physics and it'd be going over my head, but you give me a week and I'd like pick it up. And I'm beginning the last few conversations I've had with people within this group and what we're hypothesizing now with our water work and stuff like this. I honestly have to feel like I have to take everything I even learned that was alternative from what we've learned, even, you know, from our traditional schooling. And I have to even take that alternative, like, learning that I did and throw it completely out the window. And that's an exhausting thought. But within that, I've gained this total like power of just, you know, all these people who form these rigid beliefs. Well, you can't learn anything new if you think that you know everything, right? So now I'm just to the adage, like, I know absolutely nothing. Like this one book that I'm reading is like, oh, electrons aren't actually electrons, and photons aren't even there and stuff like this. And this is stuff that I fundamentally believed in for the last 10 years and how it worked with the water stuff. And now I'm like, maybe I don't know. And I won't even get into it because I don't even understand what I'm talking about.
Well, when you do your research and you share what you want, say what you want, but I mean, you know, publicly, but you do simulations, you do experiments.
Experiments, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Can you not do those simulations experiments on a computer, or does it won't work that way?
No. So, and I want to take it back. Actually, that's a great topic that I've always wanted to talk about. So Nikola Tesla, and I've spoke about this on the show before, you either had to choose Tesla or Einstein. You can't have them both because they believed in two fundamentally different ways in how the universe worked. Einstein is starting to be, well, he was even proven wrong in the 50s with what was called the Bell experiment, But the theory of relativity, in my opinion, I'm an idiot. I'm just going off all the geniuses that I read books off of, but they claim that Einstein was wrong. Tesla was one of them. He laughed at Einstein. He couldn't understand how the general public had taken on Einstein's theories, right? So Tesla has been right. He's been, history is proving that guy right. He's basically called everything. He gave us, electrical power with the AC, all this stuff. He said that obviously one of the biggest problems with modern physics at the time, which is still to this day, it's just amplified with computer modeling, is that scientists had thrown out traditional experiments. Tesla was a staunch believer in the experiment, because the experiment is obviously where you fail, yes, but where you learn eventually how to go the right path. I mean, not to go down this.
Science.
Yeah, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much tonight because I don't have a ton of time. But like COVID, a lot of COVID stuff was just based off of modeling. People don't realize that the Moderna vaccine, they never had an actual virus when they created the vaccine. You can you can check. The CEO said this. They use computer modeling. They like to use the stuff that the computer data sent them and made their vaccine. So, the computer modeling says there's going to be this many deaths. So we're based off of, and who created this computer model? Who created these algorithms or whatever that sets the tone? Are you a fear-based person who's just giving us the worst case scenario that now we have to lock down the whole world for? And obviously, yes, you have, back in the day, you had physics, which didn't have the computers that they have with just mathematical formulas. But, Tesla, while not against math, but and this is another thing where I have a book. This was just what I got in from the other day. Guy's name is Eric Dollard. He's basically considered like our generation's Tesla, and he's proven a lot of Tesla stuff, and he's like gone on to it. And I just read a little. It's thankfully not a big book. I just read a little bit of that book, and I was just like, I have no idea what's going on, because he's throwing out all the old concepts that I even believed that were new concepts that I was believing. So I don't know. I question everything now.
How come? I mean, when I grew up, I never heard anything about a Tesla or Nikola Tesla. When I grew up in science, never heard a thing about Nikola Tesla. Never. I mean, Einstein, sure, heard lots about Einstein in school and stuff like that. Now, all of a sudden, within the last decade, we're starting to learn about Nikola Tesla.
But he's still not taught a lot in schools.
How come now
He's still not taught a lot in schools. I was just talking with a bunch of young kids. We were just actually, funny enough, we were talking about this on Saturday with the young guys. He's 15 and 17, I believe, are the two boys. And we were talking about Tesla. And they just said, we know of Tesla, but we only know of Tesla because of the internet. And that struck me as crazy. Like, he should be the guy. But once again, there's a system in place. You follow Tesla. So Redbeard down here, do you believe those old school picks? I totally believe he's speaking of what's called Wardenclyffe. I believe it was in Colorado. I can't remember. So Tesla moves out of the city to do work on what he believed was wireless technology. Once again, this is conspiracy theory, but I do believe I believe it to be true, just based off of what where I've come from. But anyways, it's up for you guys to do your research. Anyways, Wardenclyffe looked like a giant Van de Graaff generator, it had the tower and then this giant, tower with a big ball at the top. And it was rumored to be emitting, wireless electricity. And he had these light bulbs positioned in the dirt a couple miles away. And a couple of his assistants said he had pulled it off. And obviously Tesla had claimed that there was enough energy in just the space around us to create this kind of thing. And JP Morgan found out and kiboshed any more of the funding. I've actually found out that wasn't exactly how the story. So that's one thing where I don't know if he was so much as suppressed as there was like a different way that JP Morgan went on that. Not that I believe that he would have not done that very, very thing. But one interesting thing that we found out, that we're not, once again, everything's speculative, but that there was underneath the tower, because obviously we're learning, there's another guy, Victor Schauberger, same time, 1930s, very similar work, similar to Tesla. Walter Russell, which I just bought a book of him. And funny enough, I actually just want to quickly add this. The reason why I've started buying all these books, these are books that I was reading online. And I kid you not, and I guess I can't give you examples because you can't do what I did in like 2015, 2016 when I did a hardcore amount of research. And I was reading on a guy named George Lakosky. LAK S or LAKHOVSKY. And similar work to Tesla and stuff like this, created this interesting device and all of that. But he had crazy good theories just about how nature kind of went in balance with this science, that Tesla, because Tesla was more from the science realm. He didn't kind of tie it into nature, whereas George Lakhovsky explained how even the soils and stuff like around the world are layered a specific way to, to take in certain frequencies and stuff like this from space. Well, yeah, I mean, everything's frequency, right? Everything, because that's one thing that I've been humbled in my work lately, is just learning that there's different frequencies of discharges, because we use very fast pulse discharges from, like Tesla would have, where you'd see all these, streams of stuff. And I had luckily had it in my notes from George Lakhovsky, where he said not every single discharge is created equal. They all have different frequencies, whether they come from metal, conduction, induction, all this stuff. So that kind of was like, man, I got to go back to square one, because I was just using, I have what's similar, a Wimshurst device, which is you wind it up and it creates electrostatic kind of streamers. But that's not the device apparently I should have for creating the energy that they claim is more in realm with what we're working on with the water and stuff. So I went to look for George Lakhovsky, and I remember reading tons about him on Google 2015, 2016. I barely got through 2 pages on Google, and most of it was not even, it was all just stuff that wasn't even actually associated with him. I went to DuckDuckGo and had much better luck, but I still wasn't finding half the stuff that I used to read about. Luckily, I found the one page that I wanted. So I saved it. Yeah. But then I one of my favorite guys of all time, actually, and this is a guy, if you guys are really interested in going, if you guys are interested in Tesla and what he believed in, Walter Russell. And Walter Russell wrote a book in 1921 called The Universal One, which I just bought because I've read it. And I've read it through online a couple of times, and I still don't understand most of what's going on. But Tesla had said, wrote a letter to Walter Russell saying, do not release this for 1,000 years, because even then the people won't be ready for it. Just on his knowledge, and how he got that knowledge is creepy enough. But I couldn't find a lot on Walter Russell anymore. So I was like, I have to start all my favorite books I will be investing in now and have hard copy library. Because I mean, with AI now, right? I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing, but if not, I mean, you can easily, I know there's a blacklist on Google. They can do that. I know that because they've testified in Congress, and it's out there online for everyone to see. So they have blacklists. So
they're censoring what could be considered controversial now,
right? And they'll just claim it to be, oh, this is hubbub science, this is pseudoscience. Well, that's for us to discover. Lest we not forget, any true science.
History? Isn't that part of history?
Right. Well, any true science. This is what drives me nuts over the COVID era. Was the science is trust the science. Science is ever changing. You are always questioning it. Proper science always has hypotheses, all this, you got to prove it. Mm-hmm. And this whole, the science is based. No, I'm sorry. And I'll be the first to admit, climate change, vaccines, every single topic that we can think of known to man right now, you can find 2 sides from prominent scientists on both sides. That's when I have to say, this is where you must follow the money. Right? Because if the money, that's the one thing I don't get. A lot of scientists who came out and Robert Malone, who was one of the inventors of mRNA technology, he questioned, and he had taken the vaccines and stuff, but he started questioning it as more data came out, and they censored him. To me, to any logical, clear-minded, thinking human being would say, why are you censoring a guy who worked with the technology, helped create the technology, and just has, some questions about it? This is where we are going wrong as society. But that's that 1984, right? What is it? Group think kind of thing, right? Where we're heading for this singularity where everyone's just going to be the same thinking, the same doing, the same. I mean, cars are starting to look the same. People sound the same.
Yeah.
So. We're on this collision course, and it's really cool. But
it's called cloning, isn't it?
Yeah, but almost without even having to actually clone anyone, you just do it by suggestive means, right? But we're on this I truly believe we're on this interesting collision. I've said this a lot lately, where I believe that within us, and we've talked about this again before, where our brains have more, neurons than any even quantum computing that's coming out.
Yeah.
But we don't understand how to tap it. So clearly we're wrong on where we've come to this far, right? Like I always, say, like, there's a book that I've read on how we have to understand new information on how our just basic human cell works. Well, maybe it's time we start looking into this, because clearly we've been wrong when we've been trying to cure cancer and all this thing. And we've been wrong for 50 plus years and hundreds of billions of dollars poured in through all these avenues. And we're not getting it right. Even the alternative, I'll admit, the alternatives still no 100% foolproof understanding of it. Alternative cancer theories and stuff say, oh, it's because of sugar. But yet there are alternative diets that are heavily based in very, pineapple is a very good fruit to take, because it eats up undigested protein, which ferments in the body and can cause issues.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. And pineapple's extremely high in sugar.
Oh, yeah.
So all these diets, so it's not sugar, in my opinion, right? And I had gone to the conclusion when I got to the water stuff. Hold on, I'm just going to turn a light. This got me to the conclusion. Oh boy, that doesn't help, does it? This got me
wear more sunscreen.
Yeah,
no, you're fine. Your picture's fine.
But and once again, I'm not the smartest guy, but I just know to always keep questioning stuff. And I believe now, Tesla, one of this books, in this book, he wrote of how Tesla said how many people can think deeply, but very few people think clearly. And that really kind of threw me for a loop, because obviously I feel very humbled when I read these books, because I can read them 3 times in a row and not understand them, and I start feeling stupid. But at least I feel like I can think clearly enough to know that the answers are not out there that we're being given. So we got to keep questioning, keep trying, keep experimenting. And one thing I'm good at is just experimenting, 50,000 times, right? And then I start learning more. So
and you're right that this is that, at some point we do have to follow the money, but that is what a lot of people don't follow the money when they start thinking about it. We either get angry at what's being shoved down our throat, or we stand still and we don't do anything about it. Right. And we don't question things. And it is our right to question things. It is our right to question our elected people. It is our right and obligation to do that. But at some point, it's just absolutely ridiculous that we get censored. No matter what we do, we get censored, unless, look at you. You've had to go and buy hard copies of these books to get that information, because it's no longer available on the free web.
Yeah. Those I can actually still get those, like the universal one I can get online. It's just me making sure that I have them in case.
Okay.
Because I started really panicking. The Lykovsky stuff was a lot harder to find. He was a lot more, down the totem pole of popularity compared to a Walter Russell or an Eric Dollard, who's still alive. So it's easier to find still stuff on him to an extent. But I just know, there was a guy named Wilhelm Reich as well. He had interesting work and they all kind of tie into what I believe is the truth about the world, which lies within the water molecule. But Wilhelm Reich, I remember even in the US in the 1950s and 60s, you weren't allowed to have a book by Wilhelm Reich. They had a book burning about Wilhelm Reich. And all the guy talked about was just an energy that pervades us all. And yeah, it was spiritual in nature. It was a little less scientific than how Tesla can explain stuff and stuff like this. But it wasn't anything obscene. It wasn't sexual in nature, really. There was slight sexual tones about it, but well, because he claims he
the tone.
Yeah, he claimed obviously 0 point energy, whatever you want to call it. He called it orgon, and he believed that the orgasm was the energy coming from that. And obviously, as you get older, right, your libido goes down. Well, as you lose that, you're losing that life force energy. Your libido is affiliated with that. That's basically all he said. But that's the sexual in nature that he had spoke about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But you tie in all those guys, right? And Faraday, Michael Faraday, who's well known because all that stuff. But all those guys, when you really look into it, Max Planck, all these guys, you read about their work and they all tie into each other. They all come to the same conclusion, but you never get that. I'm always fascinated too with Darwin, because everyone always has taken Darwin. They take that one thing, right? The evolution and all that. Well, you read more into him, and he wasn't all about just survival of the fittest and stuff like this. He spoke about it was those people who adapt to change and stuff like that, whether or not that's still synonymous with whether you're strong or not. But, you know, I've always said, why can't you have both? Why can't you have some intelligent design plus evolution? Why is it not in our intelligent design to evolve? You know?
You wonder why people go out in the woods and just get lost and stay by themselves.
I know why.
Keep your sanity. That helps keep your sanity, man.
Well, so Walter Russell, Tesla, like all these guys, I could bring up so many different quotes from all of them who spoke that solitude and isolation were the keys to creativity.
Mm-hmm.
All of those guys, like, I mean, Tesla obviously kind of went almost, who knows, maybe he was just a genius, but like he went full scale nuts, like OCD, obsessed with the number 33, you know, had to live on the 33rd floor, all this, turned doorknobs 3 times or whatever. I'm probably exaggerating on that part. Howard Hughes, like a lot of these guys, right? The genius and madness like scale where they're just like this.
It's true, because you hear of authors, you hear of musicians, and they just bugger off and go somewhere and write. Right. Because they need the peace and quiet. They don't need the distractions.
Yeah, it's so they can be alone with their thoughts,
right,
without any interruptions. Right?
Do you know that the biggest patent holder in the world, the guy who's created the most patents in the world, I think he's an Asian guy, Japanese guy. His secret was like he literally said it. His secret was swimming. He would just go into a pool and keep swimming because he believed that water was amplification for thoughts. Which obviously has always struck with me because I do believe that water is the key and water is the source to the storing of, you know, the reception of the energy, right? We're just receivers. There's no energy that sticks with us. Sorry.
Now think of the movie Minority Report when you said that.
Oh man, there's so many
people were in water, right? So, you
That's
know,
true.
Never seen it.
Another movie I just watched the other day, which totally got me too, was Transcendence with Johnny Depp.
Oh, that is an awesome movie.
That is getting better as we age too, like as it ages. Like when I first watched it, I was like, okay, good, and I was into the AI thing, but now it's like, oh my God, like I fully believe that's possible now. But yeah. it's either we go like we keep following, you know, like, and Steve Jobs was a guy who actually claimed to go out. He would go out into kind of on his own, and he would do even LSD or whatever it was he did to help him get some thoughts. And I think we had talked about this last time, which always makes me really interested is like these shamans in the woods who claim, you know, when you take this ayahuasca, natural kind of hallucinogenics, that you get visions that are more in line with nature. But if you do something like LSD or like a synthetic type hallucinogen, you'll get these almost pseudo visions. So it was almost like I want to believe that Steve Jobs, just hypothesized that Steve Jobs, he claimed a lot of his visions for the phones and all this was, and he did a little bit of stealing too, but he claimed that they were all coming from like some of his visions. Well, maybe he was getting the pseudoscience visions, right? Which made him think the phone, which is a great invention, but the phone is just, a cell phone is just, you know, an analogy for how our brains work, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You know, we're just taking in we're just getting the information every day. Every day you're eating food and stuff like that you know, stimulate your cells, structure your cells to be a certain electrical kind of receptor, and it takes in the information, and then that's it, right? So, oh, there's Owen. I haven't seen Owen in a while.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, do you ever feel it's like, what am I doing on this world, and what purpose do we serve?
Oh,
like what is this? What is this all about? You know, you get up, and it's almost, and maybe it's just as I get older, as Nancy gets older, you guys are not near our age, but it's like Groundhog Day. It's like
I'm feeling that a bit, the Groundhog Day,
and it's like, what are we doing? Like, what purpose do we set? Like, it's almost depressing. Like, it's like,
so you summed up what I think is the most spiritually like fundamental problem with humanity today is most people don't have any true purpose, right? They get up and like you're doing the rat race, you're making money and stuff like that, but in the end that's an empty feeling and you don't realize why that is, right? And unless you have some deeper sense of purpose, and I'm not talking that the deeper sense of purpose has to be absolutely mind-blowing, like you got to discover the keys to the universe. But I honestly think, you know, being kinder to your fellow neighbors and doing stuff like that, I think that has more purpose, you know, and staying true, like a good character throughout your life is far higher purpose than attaining money. Because it's actually probably a lot easier to attain money now than to stay a good human being by the time you're 50. you know?
Right? Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
true. Big
And
time.
and just these days it's just self-absorption and arrogance. And you talk about, like these days, how many people get offended if your opinion isn't in line with theirs?
Well, and you know what I'm hearing more of is I'm hearing more, well, not more of, but I've heard of a couple of cases that I didn't hear of in different companies and stuff of people getting absolutely remanded and fired in some cases because I'm not using the correct pronouns.
Oh.
Well, okay, but it's like I grew up one way, and
Won't even
and
go
when if
down
I
that
misuse
rabbit
it,
hole, Tim.
well,
Yeah,
no, but if I
obviously,
misuse it, I'm not even thinking about it because I haven't been brought up that way, right? Like, I mean,
I'm all for, like, I'm a libertarian at heart, right? So like you do you, but if you're trying to convince me on it, like we're gonna have a little bit of issues, and then they're gonna get offended, and it's like, why are you getting offended? I'm literally here respecting your existence. I just don't want you to meddle with mine. Just leave me alone. You do you, I'll do me. As long as you're not hurting anyone, I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
oh, well.
But yeah, I just noticed too, just driving. With the other day we saw, and obviously we drive around with pools now, so I'm seeing more driving, and we saw a guy over in Oakville on, I don't know what road, I don't necessarily Dorval, where he just fully does like a 3-point turn on Dorval, where there's 2 separate full lanes. And you couldn't have waited to go up the street, turn around in a parking lot. And I'm like, the ignorance now, the arrogance that like you think your life is more in a rush, that you've got to hold up everybody.
Yeah, people will wait for me. They'll see me, and it's the expectation that they see me, and that my right is to do this, and their responsibility is to stop for me.
Right.
That only works if you're driving a really big truck.
Well,
But
right? I'll tell you, what's on the increase now, and you got to watch it. And I don't know how bad it is. Well, Tim, you'd see it more, and Ken, I don't know how big your metropolis is down there, but the number of U-turns at traffic lights and intersections now, and it's just people are going to get, and it's I've seen it increase since last fall, and I just shriek at it because now we're going to see the pedestrian foot traffic increase at intersections. And it's like someone's going to get whacked.
Owen makes a good point. That's the thing with money too, right? Money is an everlasting chase. I mean, look at half these people who like are millionaires. They don't need any more, and they just keep going and going and going.
It's a game to them. It's the fear. It's the thrill of the kill.
Yeah. Well, I even have friends
and us. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just have friends that are so kept busy. They just have to keep busy. And I remember that one friend came camping with me a couple years ago, and his like knees were shaking when he's just sitting by the fire and stuff. I'm like, you okay, man? He's like, I'm going nuts, man. I'm like, dude, you can't even enjoy like a 2-hour, we'd only been there. That was the first day. And he barely made it. It was like 3 days, I think.
Withdrawals.
And in my mind, like I wasn't going to, chirp him or anything, but in my mind, I was like, how kind of like sad is that he just has to like be in the rat race, or else he feels like he's not got like any use. And that's what we're being taught to a point, right? We are being taught that if you do not have a certain status job, a certain car or anything like that, like, so Kyle, one of our guys, I don't know if he's here tonight, but like his buddies, he was telling me, he's like, they all think to get a girl, and they're all in their early 20s, you got to have the night, like the expensive clothes, the cars, the this and that. So he was making me like, I'm actually going out to chat with them tomorrow, just because the one guy's so materialistic to thinking that's, and I'm like, number one, yes, there are girls out there who are going to do that, but no, those are not going to be the right girls.
Yeah,
there are girls
you don't want. No.
Yeah. And I'm like, take it from a broke guy, like 40 years old, living in his parents' basement again right now. You can still pick up girls, I don't know. It just saddens my mind because I don't remember me and my buddies talking like that in our early 20s.
Well, the more I get out of having responsibility at the job and not having to report as much and be involved with, communications for my job and my industry and stuff, the more I start to not feel obligated to have my cell phone on me.
Oh, I'm big on not.
And it's like, and I'll go out and I'll go like maybe to my mother-in-law's or whatever, or my brother-in-law's for dinner, and I won't bring my cell phone. It's like,
it's nice to not even have anyone know
where
you are.
Yeah.
I the tape only comes off my camera too, like for this show.
The what?
I just don't trust the tape on my webcam. I won't. I don't.
Oh, the camera.
Yeah. I watched that Snowden movie, and not that I had it on before that, but I watched the Snowden movie for the first time the other day. I was bored, and it just reiterates. I believed all that was happening anyways, but
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I don't know where we go with this and what we do. I mean, you know, just keep chasing the dream of crypto.
well, I mean, I was looking. It's funny because obviously we know I'm looking for cottages and stuff, and I feel like cottages prices have started going up again.
No,
Like, I'm not even seeing
they're
the
coming
downturn.
down. They're coming down.
They are coming down.
Yeah, they're coming down. There's some deals like well, I don't know, but did you hear about what's going on at Sobel?
No. I'm taking a wild guess. Does it have to do with the native land or?
Well, what happened was the Ontario Supreme Court finally passed a ruling since the 1800s that the beach from where our cottage is all the way up to 6th Street is actually owned by the natives, and that it has to go back into their custody or whatever the case is. And it's such a small community, and they're making such a big stink about this. The local yokels and stuff like this, and it's like, look at what are you making a big stink about it for? It's their land.
This is crazy. So
This is their land. Leave them the F alone and just cohabitate.
yeah.
But it's just, it's ours and stuff. And it's like, this is what got us into trouble in the first place.
Yeah. It's such a fine thing because obviously, like, once again, it's tough these days because you see the race dividing stuff and all this stuff. And yeah, we totally like ages ago, our ancestors, and people did take land and they did it maliciously, but that's not me. I would never do that now.
No.
But I remember watching a podcast not too long ago, and it was one of the more popular guys. And he said that like they're going to start taking back, like expropriating land and stuff to take, because how are they going to get this great reset? And in Canada, they're going to use the whole Aboriginal land thing. And they're going to make like the average communities be like, you're sitting on native land, you got to da. And that's going to like get rid of people's land. I was like, ooh, that's because you won't be able to really challenge that because, like, you'll be racist and stuff like this. Like, I don't know. It's going to be some weird times because now I know, like, my ex had to, when she would go on to webcam for work, she'd have to say, hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. I identify as ... And I acknowledge that I am on the ... land of native land. And that's fair. Like, the truth is, like, I am a spiritual guy. Like, we did pillage their lands, and we have, so that's true to a point, but where's this going? What's the end game with it is what I'm more curious about, because there's always a plan with these governments and these oligarchs that something's up.
Follow the money.
Yeah, well, and this is the sad part, right? Because we built a pool for out in on a reserve there in Caledon there.
Ohsweken.
Yeah, and the guy had tons of money, and I'm just going to throw this out there right now because I was like watching the government stuff and going, obviously, Trudeau, you're screwing over the native people and all that. And then we go, and my buddy who also actually works with native communities, and he had told me, so I was keeping my eye out when I went there. Sure enough, all the money is not going to where it needs to go, even when they do get money. I don't know how much money they get, but it's going to the guy who's now we're building his pool. And then down the road, there's all these people who's not doing that. Now you could analogy that for many third world countries in Africa where the president or whoever it is making tons of money off all the resources that China is coming in and pillaging, and the states and the Western, and they're using the climate change to keep the normal African down. Right. Like, so I'm definitely for the people across all races and stuff like this. But at the same time, then you look at it and the white guy's still getting the blame in Africa, yet it's the African president who's screwing over his own people.
Yep.
Right.
Oh,
so
yeah, they're totally playing both sides of the coin.
So when
you're right. The government gives, and this is what pisses me off, is that all this money was given back for fresh, clean water, and you're right, it's getting stuck at the council level.
Yeah.
Right. And
that pisses me off that these people are not getting clean water.
Yeah, the basis of all life, as we've been talking about. But I mean, even Twitter right now, I don't know if anyone else has noticed it on Twitter, and usually on Twitter, I don't like to post, like, I post a lot of, like, conspiracy stuff and all, but government stuff, but I generally stay out of race and all that, because I just don't buy into it. I'm not buying. I believe the more we talk about racist stuff and you talk about race, the more you keep it alive. You know, just like let it
You're
go.
feeding
Like,
it. You're
yeah.
feeding it.
And but there's one thing I noticed lately, and this is all these like fights that are coming up on my feed, and they're fights, and they're black people beating up white people, and it's like, oh, and it's always comments like, oh, look who it generally is. No, this is some sort of algorithm that is trying to sway your decision.
Mhm.
You'll see, you know, white people like I don't, and this is a hot topic right now, but the gentleman who was just shot outside going to his pick up his family. He was a black guy, and he went to pick up his family, and an 84-year-old shot him when he went to the wrong house. He got the wrong
Jesus.
house.
Oh, I heard about that. I heard about that.
Terrible, totally terrible. But that same weekend, you had 2 white cheerleader girls kind of go towards the wrong car in, like, I don't know where. They got shot. Another pizza man went to the wrong thing or something. I can't remember exactly how it went down. Got shot. And a 20-year-old white girl got shot pulling her car into the wrong driveway.
Yeah. I heard
Once again,
about
like
that
I even have to go now. I don't even believe that much in, because I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of racist stuff now in my life. Actually, we live in a good area, Canada and stuff, so I can't judge other, geographical areas. But it was like Twitter was trying to sway my decision. Like, you're not going to sway me. Like, I've seen horrible white people. I've seen horrible other races, but I've seen good every other race too, right? So you're not going to convince me that every single full dynamic of anyone, women, men, I don't know, are all bad people. So, but you just see now how the media now, at least stepping back, I'm like, okay, all these shootings happen, but one has been absolutely taken and ran with.
Mhm.
I think obviously what sums it up more that people have now are just absolute cowards, and they pick up a gun because we're creating some sort of society that just can't lose, right? There's another video of, and this is the problem, like, listen to me even talk right now. I literally only follow crypto people and I'll follow political people, yet I'm getting fights all the time, like stupid, petty fights. Some kid lost 14-2 in a wrestling match. He's in high school and he got up and shortcut the guy, knocked him out for losing. And yes, okay, that happened. And what are we raising our kids now to be total, like, you can't take the L, right? I'm sure Tim would, I'd be afraid of getting in a fight now. Because
you never know what the hell they're going to pull out.
Yeah. So we're just creating this mental.
That's unfortunate that we've come to that.
Yeah, 100%. But that's the problem is like the desensitized, and this is why I don't like to watch a lot of this stuff. And I always try to make sure to turn it off, is how desensitized some people come. I've got friends, I'll admit, that like, oh, did you see that? Oh man, that was crazy. That was hilarious. I'm like, dude, that was someone's mother, brother, sister. Who knows? I always try to take that in, right? And like, I'd be furious if like my brother had something terrible happen to him and it's just his murders flashed all over the internet.
Yeah.
So it's all of our faults, collective thoughts, to almost like turn this stuff off often. And I'm guilty of it too. It's like this, it's a car crash. You can't help but look sometimes.
People are addicted to drama. and it is a TV network that is paid for, that has commercials in it, that is supposedly under the wrapper of news, and creates our own drama. We don't have to turn on Blue Bloods or Rookie or whatever it is. We just need to turn on CP24 for all the bad news and car crashes and shootings and stuff like that. Or if we want the political stuff, when we want the House of Cards, we turn on CNN or Fox. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because you said that, because like even reality TV, right, is so not even close to reality anymore.
No,
it's
even pushing its own agenda.
Well, I have a personal story actually about that. Out west, my sister-in-law's uncle has a beautiful, beautiful house right on the ocean, done well for himself. And I go in and I'm talking, and he's got this. It is a gorgeous bathroom, and he's like, our house was on some house show where you choose the house. I can't remember which one.
Love it or list it.
I honestly couldn't even tell you which one it was. But he's like, do you want to watch it and tell me what you see different or something? So I'm watching. I'm like, oh, you renovated the bathroom in this. He's like, no, we didn't even renovate the bathroom. They used a totally different bathroom.
What?
Yeah, don't even ask me why, because the crazy part about it is his bathroom was 10 times cooler, more beautiful than the bathroom they showed. His bathroom had a skylight like in the shower, and was all like these cool colors that overlooked the ocean. And they used like some generically tiled up bathroom. So I don't even know why, whether or not maybe there was a product that I don't know. Like it's just, you know, my friend, she dated, I'm not friends with her as close anymore, but she dated one of the twin guys for a bit.
Property Brothers.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, he's basically an actor, you know, like you just, it's such a joke. And that's it. We create this fake facade. And then you have these people who obviously follow all this. And you look at even TikTok and all this stuff now, where you get a video and, oh, it's gone viral, and you question it. You're right away going, this is staged. So even the average person now is trying to stage drama and make it look like reality. Mm-hmm. So the average person now is not, you know, like even me, I almost did this. I almost like, I wouldn't say doctorate. There's a picture of me doing a backflip off a 50-foot bridge. And I tried to cut off the corner just to like get the house off to give it bigger perspective. I'm like, then I'm just lying. Because I wanted to look like the thought process went through my head. And this wasn't even long ago, and I'm admitting this. I obviously didn't go through with it, but there was a thought in my head that I was going to post this picture and cut out the one side just to like omit the house to make it look like it's even higher than it really is, that there's not a house right there.
Well,
and that scared me that thought process had even entered my brain.
Yeah, we all drink the Kool-Aid, don't we?
Yeah, but it's admitting it, right? Like we all have, we were talking on Saturday, like we were talking about how narcissism is just becoming, it's almost like an accepted thing now, because everyone's got, I have definitely, I can look at the narcissist list and go, ooh, that I'm guilty of that. You know, do I think I would check off the full blown? Probably, hopefully not. But I think these days we're so close to so many people being borderline sociopaths, you know, that it's hard to even.
Oh yeah.
It's funny to see the evolution of society, eh? When you think back and you think now, and it's just like,
or the de-evolution, obviously, right?
You know, yeah. Where did we go wrong, right? Where did we go wrong? The internet.
I mean, one of my favorite books.
Where we went wrong.
I agree. I definitely think it was our stepping off point. It kind of allowed all like our wrapped up inside fetishes and all this to either come out and like we could live a fake life. But then it's almost like your fake life, which was really inside of you, started to come out more. And I've told this story before here. And this is where I really, for the first time, that rings so true, is when I was at Joe Dog's not long ago. I think I've told this story. Actually, it was probably a year ago now. But I was talking all this crazy stuff that we were just talking about earlier. And I literally had a group of men that was beside us on the other table. I knew that they'd been listening, but the one guy literally intervenes my conversation to say that I'm the most full of shit guy he's ever heard in my life. And I'm like, you know, if I'm full of shit, let me be. But the fact that you had your ego needed to like intervene so you could just give me that jab is where I was perplexed. Mm-hmm. But that sounded like I had made a comment online and he had just decided he was going to comment underneath now. But that seems to just weaseling into real life.
Well, because you're used to it online, and so why wouldn't it carry forward into real life?
Yeah, and you're not used to usually getting a
there's
fist
no
in the
filters
face online.
Because when you're online, there's no filter.
Right. And you're not going to get a fist in the face. But now,
Correct.
If you throw a fist in the face in real life, you don't know if that guy who's just jabbed you has got a gun or a knife, and it's just
was that real? Was that VR? Was it AI? What was it? No, it was a fist. You know, holy shit. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It's I don't know.
Weird times, man.
We're in very peculiar times, and I don't know how to. I don't know personally how to reset myself, because I feel I need a reset.
I can relate to that right now. I honestly feel I feel burnt out, and I don't even work hard, obviously, in the sense of like work, but just mentally, I feel burnt out from all the thoughts, all the information that we take in, the pronouns and the this and the divisions and the race wars and all that. It's exhausting, and you can't even escape it as long as you turn off the computer.
I think what it is that we're worrying too much about other things and not worrying about ourselves, our mental health, our physical appearance, our weight, our diet, all of that. I feel that everything else is over here as a distraction, and we're losing sight of this.
Well, I was just going to say, this is I bet you this is what's caused a lot of depression now, right? There's many people with depression, and I think it's information overload, that they're confused and sad inside because they don't.
Well, I've
know,
watched too, like
you know.
a lot of people watch other people's Instagrams and stuff, and they think that person's living the life, and then they measure their life against theirs.
Mhm.
Which, you know, the truth is, I'm okay because my dream is literally to live in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. So my dreams are very attainable. But for all those people that are running in the rat race and see all these other people, you know, posting pictures of trips in their house and this and that, but we also don't. I mean, if you're clear-minded, you know that what's that person's mortgage right now? You know, like those are the questions that go through my head. Are those persons like doing okay financially? Like, are they not like underwater right now?
And I think what we have to do is we have to give our head a shake and go, well, that's nice, but that's just showing off. And that's just,
Totally.
you know, and it's like, you know, to other people, it's interesting. It's like, oh, look what they got. They must be rich and stuff like that. And even those comments is like a waste of my energy.
Absolutely. I agree.
And that's why I've got certain people, and Nancy, well, I don't know if Nancy's watching or not, but she knows that there are certain people that I'm friends with Facebook on, and I see this shit come up and I just, boom, I put them on a snooze for 30 days because it drives me absolutely batshit. But the problem is that I still go back and I look at Facebook every day. So
Yes.
who has the real problem?
Oh, totally. Because we have the choice to turn it off and we
Correct.
don't.
You got the power to disconnect.
Yeah. I have gotten better, at least at like, especially with Twitter now, like after what I just said, I used to like be able to go down for 40 minutes and take in a lot of information. It was mostly during COVID, and that's when I started Twitter. But now I'll do like 2 minutes. I'll check my messages, message Rohit, all this and that. And then I'm usually out. I'm just like, I can't do it. And that's where I've gotten the books, and I've made a more conscious choice to read about stuff that is beneficial to my understanding of, you know, the universe, of how things work, of all that. And then, you know, back looking at just property and keeping my mind focused on I want land, I want this. And I have started doing it, but no, just like you said too, like diet and stuff. That's the one thing I've always been strong on. I've always tried to take care of my health like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, I am starting to be like, I'm not staying here forever. And I've started I've convinced my parents, at least my mom wants hopefully, I know this sounds morbid, but obviously I want my mom to outlive my dad because she would be easier to get along with. I'm sure many people can kind of do the math on their parents and just how they'd want that to go. And my mom is much younger, or not much younger, but younger than my dad. So we've had a talk, and obviously my mom has definitely said she's going to go out to BC once my dad passes away. That's the reason I'm here. So that gives me free reign now to like go far and either, you know, get my cottage, you know, on Vancouver Island or something where I can just surf all the time and do all that. Right. Mm-hmm. But it's funny that you just said that, because obviously it's really hitting home on how I had to really, and it's literally like a fitness trainer in a sense that you have to have in your head pushing you to like push that rep and not look at Tinder, Twitter, or anything like that. Tinder, and I haven't been on Tinder in 3 years, or anything like that for too long and stuff like that, because you don't even realize it. I think, you know, we always say this about children, that children can't express their emotions. I still think that about my 82-year-old father when he's having outbursts and stuff. Like, the guy still doesn't know how to express what's really going on in his mind. You know, he's mad at something else, but he's taking it out over here, but he won't admit it, right? Because male ego, and maybe especially the old male ways, you know.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that. I can relate to that. It's interesting because my brother, I've become recently, over the last year or so, I've become closer to my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my nephew, which is a good thing. And he's in investments. He's works for the bank, so on and so forth and stuff. And he's, you know, investing this, investing that. And he goes, you know what, as I grow older, he goes, you know what I see from all my clients is that they don't invest in themselves, because it's all great and fine because he's in private banking, have all this money, but if you don't invest in yourself, then this investment over here means absolutely shit to you.
The biggest life lesson I ever got, because I honestly think if you're really in tune enough, you learn from other people's mistakes, and that instead of having to make them your own. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you know, we've gone over how I used to work with some alternative cancer protocols and some people in that realm. And one of the biggest gifts I've ever had, and it's obviously a selfish one, but because I was talking with people with terminal cancer who are told they have months or even maybe 2 years tops to live. And I would always I would sit and talk with them. And one of the biggest questions I would always ask, because obviously I wouldn't say this to just someone who was not taking these protocols, by the way, ones that obviously gave hope that maybe there was a different path that could get them to health instead of the Western medical had obviously told them there was no hope. But I would say, like, if you get a second chance, what are you going to do again? Number one, without fail, was I would work less and spend more time with my loved ones. That was like, there was no other one that ever came up, not once, because time's the most valuable currency.
I think we all know that. It's just we don't do it. We ignore it.
It's hard to do, man. The cost of living and shit now.
So this is where, for the first time, I've been the hippie guy who's always pretty much lived that for the last pretty much almost all my life. But obviously, I can't sit here like sometimes my parents. I'll be dead honest. Sometimes my mom has helped with groceries. Other than that, I take care of my own bills and stuff like this. But even that, I'm still going, like, when I get back out there, like, holy shit, like my own grocery bills are, $56 for my snacks, because obviously I don't eat the cheap stuff, and even the cheap stuff ain't cheap anymore.
Right.
So I'm just like trying to do like, okay, how do I get, because obviously I'm good with a trailer and stuff, but I've got to ask myself a lot of hard questions on how I want to maneuver, still maintaining the lifestyle that I believe in, which we just discussed. But you still, like you guys, and Ken has kids, and obviously your kids are a little older, so it makes it easy, but Ken's got young kids.
Yep.
So Ken can't, even if he wants, Ken can't think like me. So Ken can't relate to him, and I can't relate to Ken because Ken's got kids. Like, I could give advice to Ken, but really it's not the same advice, because Ken's got to take care of his kids and I got to respect him for that. Right. So he's got to pay the bills. Whereas me, I don't got to pay as much bills, so I can live the life, but at the same time, I've still got to put food on my table.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's interesting. It's really interesting. And it's good to have chats like this, because it you just get to know each other, and you get to just talk about stuff that isn't on the TV and is commercial free.
And you got to be honest with yourself, right?
Yeah, well, come on now. This is a men's only chat too. The ladies had their turn last week.
Yeah. And by the way, I do hope that Candace is feeling better. She has some whopping lung infection or lung.
Yeah, feel better, Candace.
So, yeah, I hope she's feeling better.
I saw Marie in here. I guess we had one girl at least in the chat.
And Claude, yeah. I think that was it. Everyone's gone.
I don't think you're being misogynistic and whatever.
Everybody's out sharpening their axe and getting their carrot seeds and stuff like that.
Well, that's why I say BC. Like, I want to go somewhere where I can grow vegetables all year round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the cost of seeds is nothing. It's like, if you can make those work for you.
Well, even
go.
like my mom's been buying those like freshly baked cookies from Fortino's, and they're like $5.99 now for like 6 cookies. And my dad's an absolute pastry Nazi. Like, he just goes through them like crazy. So I'm like, Mom, it's still pennies on the dollar though to bake cookies.
Yeah. And
I've got enough time on my hands, and I still would rather do something. And I've enjoyed cooking. I'm not as much of a baker, but now I'll bake some cookies. They'll last longer. She's pennies on the dollar still. So there is still, while I don't want to say that it should be that way, because there's a lot of people now where people are posting videos about, the cost of living and stuff. And you see the comments like, you need to work harder. But that's not how life's supposed to be.
No, you don't. The harder you work, the less you make.
Probably. Obviously, I can't attest to that.
Well, you do, because you the less you make, meaning the less you make an investment in yourself by having the time off, the more you're paying to the government.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The more you're going down that rabbit hole, the exact one you don't want to go down.
Right.
What's the answer? I don't know, because you got, unfortunately, we are in a predicament where we've got to make money to buy our stuff.
And that's how they want to keep it, right?
Man, I can show you. Last year, I made $3,000 in 2 weeks, and 1/3 of it went to taxes.
Oh.
And
what did they do with your taxes? They blow it. Trudeau's out with $9,000 thing where a night villas in Jamaica that he won't even answer on Parliament.
No, they make deals about dental stuff, and then 40% of the people miss the ability to get the run on the free dental stuff.
Do you watch the Parliament things though lately? Like he
No, I
doesn't
don't watch that
answer a
junk.
goddamn. Oh, I don't see highlights, but like he doesn't answer one question. I don't trust Pierre Polivier either. I don't trust either side. We know that, but just like answer the freaking question. And it goes around and around. I'm like, these and they've given themselves what, 4 raises since COVID, these politicians, to just barb like this crap. And then we find out all our tax money's missing, this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry. We don't owe you shit. You're squandering money anyways. You don't even know where it's going. So I don't care. I don't use your healthcare system. You know, like I'm sure dentistry is mostly a scam, but
you don't have to pay as much taxes if you're living out in the bush.
No, and that's great and stuff. But it's funny because the one I've been eyeing my uncle's cottage. As long as I don't upkeep the outside and renovate the outside, and I can do anything I want to the inside, the property taxes will stay down. But if I make that look like a shining, brand new object, they're gonna upkeep me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my game plan. If I take over his,
you can put brand new stuff on it and just give it a different finish that makes it look like shit.
True. Well, either way, I think it's hilarious. It's like, oh yeah, you're coming
shit.
down, you just see plywood on the side of my cottage. You're like, oh, Tim's cottage looks like crap. Then you come in, I've got all new stuff like this. Yeah. P.S. This is just a joke. Any CRA listening to me right now?
Right.
But I'm sorry, like this is where the anarchist comes out, and I just want to like tell to the whole public, like we need to stop paying our taxes. It's theft.
Can't.
You can't because they'll come out.
We're absolutely caught, and I don't know anywhere we can go. I've got a guy I know who I worked with back in the Young Drivers days, and he's retired now, and he just went down and spent a whole his winter down in Thailand, and pennies. It cost him pennies to live, and it's like he's showing videos and pictures and stuff there, and it's like it's beautiful. It looks clean. It looks safe. The food looks amazing. And he's right on a freaking beach, and it's pennies.
But you got to stay away from the prettiest ladies there.
Don't go there.
A lot of pronouns going around there, I think.
Yeah, you just got to check for Adam's apple, and you'll be all good.
I've been told horror stories of how good looking.
Where the village people went?
Yeah. I've had a buddy who actually got in a situation. They literally had to say, you need to back up. Luckily he only made it like it was just first base.
That person's packing, right?
Oh. I mean, any man has to be humble enough to admit on some of these Maury Povich shows sometimes when we're wrong. It happens. But yeah, another book I just bought right here. Conspiracies, the Committee of 300. And it's 1992, 1991, but it lays out, I don't even know what page it's on in this because I read it always online, but it lays out the plan on what they were going to like that Agenda 2030 or whatever that they were going to call it. But it literally says in it, it lays out all the stuff like how they were going to attack women's rights or attack women using the women's rights movement and stuff, which I think you're seeing with the trans movement now. Because a lot of women defend this, and obviously you have like I'm all for like trans Olympics and all this. Like you have your right to do whatever the hell you want to do over here, but like the dicey gray area is obviously there's good trans people, but there are people who are going to exploit that, right? Like the men who are in jails that are saying I now identify as a female so that they can go into female jails and then they rape the females. Mm-hmm. So who do we protect first? We have to protect the women that were born biological women first. And then after that, then you're a trans woman. Okay, well, maybe you can have your own jail. I don't know. Like there's ways we can go about it where kind of in the middle.
I think society has created so many fires that we're so busy running around putting out fires that it has become a total distraction, and it was and it's been on purpose. There's been someone who has actually sat back here, or a group of people, or whomever the powers may be, and have said, if we create enough confusion, they're going to be so busy stomping fires out and doing this and that they're never going to see us sneaking up the middle.
Right. Like, are you really going to question the universe as a child right now going through school when you're taught about, genders and race theories and stuff like this? These are all, in my opinion, stuff that you figure out on your own as you grow up. Like I didn't never got taught about gays or anything like that, but I knew to just treat humans well, no matter what it was, you know, like regardless of race. It happens. School should be taught for, you know, and things that we never even got taught, but money, finance management, and, you know, how to change cars. Those would be important stuff. But on top of that, just proper science, like questioning, critical thinking, stuff like this. Yep. It's all gone. And then we wonder why, like I think we've touched on this before, why China's flying up through the rears, because you look at what they're taught for math and what they're taught for all their schooling, and they're getting taught actual subjects, and we're getting taught, like you said, fires. And I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm glad I only touched on it for 2 minutes, and I think that's all we need, because our conversation from 30 minutes ago was a lot more cooler and probably bigger in scope than this stuff is.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm trying to find it. It's literally in one. It just lays out everything. It talks about how, and this is 1991 or 1992. I can't remember, because Behold the Pale Horse is the other year. But it talks about how they're going to move to a one world, like a one digital, like a currency. And in this book, obviously, they were talking, because it wasn't quite there yet, a debit card that will have everyone's name and
social credit rating.
Yes, so you can get off a cash system. Yeah. And it even says, like, people who are, you know, resourceful and like move into the country, like kind of the people that we talk about, are going to be the ones that, but we'll make sure that they're going to like go to obviously certain communities, right? They'll go to like-minded communities. That way we can wrangle them up more. So I'm like, shit, I can't even go to like a like-minded community, because that's where they'll find us more. Yeah. But I mean, this book, 30 years ago, and we're seeing it all unfold now. Mm-hmm. It talks about, we've talked about medically assisted suicide. It talks about how they will start enforcing euthanasia for the old, the sick, and the mentally unstable, you know, and that's what we're seeing in Canada. Canada's experiment. So like, you can say conspiracy theorists, but I just think, I don't know.
They just wrap it a different way.
Yeah. And MC, like the biggest thing, here's another, like, I'll say this one last thing. If you chop it off, I don't know, then maybe you can go to the prisoner. You can go to the female prison. But if you still got it going on down there, you can't.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you should still be in the male prison then.
Yeah. Like, and same with maybe even sports. I could even, like, I'm a pretty fluid guy. Like the Leah Thomas thing, right? You had that one girl come out and said that under Congress or under trial, wherever she was, Riley Gaines, I think was her name. She came out under and testified that, you know, she had problems with this Leah Thomas, because the junk was, the parts were still there, and you walk around the whole bathroom with it hanging out. So some women had a problem with that, and the NCAA told them to shut their mouth, because anytime there's a flavor of the month, the governments and all the stuff goes with the trend, right? They protect the trend more than they protect the possibly what we should be doing, which is right. And that person got assaulted. The Riley Gaines, she got assaulted coming out. She got fit. There's footage of it. And they totally swept that under the rug. So you see this footage and you're like, okay, well, then you see the unfairness. But I'm willing to say, okay, you chop it off. Like, usually chemical castration does a lot for testosterone coming down. So maybe there is something that you could go into the sports and do that. You know, I don't know. Like, I'm willing to be proven wrong on all those things. So I'm not staunch in all that. So, and I'm not afraid to talk about it either. I know a lot of people these days, like, that's one thing, right? We've become so afraid to talk about these issues. But I try to, like, come across, I'm sure there might be someone watching who might be offended by what I'm saying, but I'm willing to have the conversation, and I won't get mad about it. Like, I'm not mad, because I don't know what exactly to believe or how to believe it. So if you can give me information, like, I've read about intersex. So like, I understand that there is intersex, you know, 1 in 2,000, I think, births, right? So there is definitely, I believe, some sort of trans thing where you have the hardcore right now going, oh, there's only male and female. I'm like, oh, the intersex, I could argue against that, right? But then I can't argue.
Transgender is somebody that wants to be the opposite sex. Transsexual is actually a person who has undergone the surgery.
Okay, but intersex is kind of born with almost similar, like, because you can have a hermaphrodite, right?
Right, you can have a hermaphrodite. Now, I don't know, when you're born a hermaphrodite, I don't know if you have both male and female working parts.
Well, I've watched a documentary, because, you know, I like to take both sides. There was a great documentary on, obviously, about understanding the whole movement more. And a lot of people who were born like I can't remember, boy or girl was born, one or the other, had both a hermaphrodite. the parents made the choice to do the surgery to get rid of one part and raise the kid as the other, but the kid always felt like the opposite sex that they'd gotten rid of.
Right.
So there's stuff like that where like it's beyond my realm of thinking, and it's not my position to tell you what you should think if that went through and that was your journey, you know. But
Right.
that's where then I'm totally for it. But then obviously, like I said, if we're seeing this increase in men who are going from male prisons to female prisons, and girls are being raped, I'm sorry, I'm going to protect the spiritual female, you know, the essence of it, right? You got to protect that first. So
Yeah.
but I feel like Tim time to wrap up. We just wrap up without him, or at least I gotta go soon. But
Well, that's okay. I can sit here and
no, we can.
do puppet shadows and shit.
All right, we'll go back to crypto for now. So Elmo,
Yeah, Elmo.
big
And
meme. I didn't write the last one down.
and meme gold.
Meme gold. But to wrap up without you.
There's a Mev bot too. We're 4 months into the year and it's already made over $2 million.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Those things though, I jump in now and that's when it goes down.
I belong to a project, and that's what happened to our project. It got, what the hell was it? Within the first like hour and a half, everybody got front runted like 176 times within the first hour and a half. It killed the project. It just totally killed the project.
I gotta keep the FOMO down, but I don't know. I gotta go. I'm starving. I haven't
All right,
eaten
buddy. I
dinner.
appreciate you coming in. It was always great to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
And hopefully see you soon.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Later.
Peace.
And then there were two.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so the busy season has started officially today.
That's it?
Well, I went ahead and I filled up my truck and I dumped off
What'd you fill it up with, though? Gas?
water. I didn't even fuel up today. I'm going to do all that tomorrow, man.
Are you running diesel?
Yeah.
Diesel truck?
Yeah, if I would have actually power washed my truck and stocked it, it would have been easily 7:30
Oh,
by the
wow.
time I would have been done. Yeah.
Yeah, because you must be returning all of the I guess, what do you call them, the units back to the public parks and all of that. You must be putting them all back, because I see all the ball diamonds around here and the parks and stuff like that are starting to get the porta potties back into them now.
Yeah, we're really busy now. So I didn't think I was going to be so busy today, but the driving, Mary, the driving just like my farthest toilet today from Sarnia was 20 minutes outside of Grand Bend on the other side going.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like an hour and a half to get there.
Wow. Yeah, I keep seeing Chandler's around here. So that's the one. Isn't that the one you guys are buying?
Yeah, I don't know whether we bought them or we're affiliated with them. They're part of a corporate umbrella.
Okay.
Total Sanitation. That's the corporate, is Total Sanitation.
Yeah, because the other big one that I'm seeing, at least, and I don't know, I doubt whether it's out your way, is 360.
Yeah, that's
They're big here.
that is Centerline. Centerline. They changed their name.
Oh, right. I remember Centerline. Yep.
Yeah, they changed their name to E360.
E360. What's the 360 have to do with it? I don't know.
Environmental 360 degrees. I don't know.
I have no idea. I have
What
no idea. It's I just yeah, no, it's
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever take them over or not. I don't know. They're pretty big.
they are big.
Yeah.
They've got a very big presence down here. And there's a lot of little one-offs down here too that I'm sure are working their ass off too, because it's in demand. It's just one of those things that are in demand. Like, I wish I had one of these rental companies right now, because those, I was talking about it last time, those Skyjacks, holy shit, they're all over the place.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tis the season, man. Everybody's got
Oh,
money and all these
well,
companies
it's
need to
not
go.
that.
So,
You wouldn't believe, and I don't know what Sarnia is like, but if you were to come down here to Oakville, Burlington, Milton, Mississauga, Brampton, the amount of warehousing going up is astronomical.
yeah,
And they're not small. These are 300,000 square feet to 1,000,000 square feet. They're gargantuan. And it's like, what the hell are they putting in there?
yeah. That's a good question.
I don't know. I really don't know. It's like the construction trade here is at least the industrial commercial is not hurting at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, they just did a big blitz on our toilets in Sarnia, and we got 172 infractions.
So who would be? Is that a bylaw? What do you mean
Ministry.
infractions?
It's the Ministry of Labor.
Ministry of Labor or Ministry of Environment?
Labor.
So
'Cause
what are
most
your
of them-
like? What would it be an infraction?
The toilet's not clean enough. It was signed but wasn't actually fully serviced.
Oh,
What the lazy drivers do, you know.
oh.
I do it right. That's why I'm out till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, right? You know.
So
Yeah.
what would a fine look like? How much would a fine be?
I have no idea. I didn't ask our manager. I was going to, but I haven't had time. It's like I get to the shop, I get my shit together, and I go. And
Well, how many trucks do they have going out from your location?
we only have 4 or 5 on the road.
That's it.
That's it.
You sound a lot bigger than that.
Well, just from Sarnia. That's just from Sarnia.
Yeah, but I mean listening to what you do, it's be like, Jesus, you've only got 4 or 5 trucks on the road for what you do,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got to go into all the plants and stuff. Like, have you got trucks that are just dedicated for plants?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. One truck's dedicated to IOL, and the other one is for Nova Chemicals. And that's actually one of our truck manager. That's what he does. He goes into Nova all the time. He's like the Nova guy. And that's all he does all day long is he just cleans trailers and toilets and hand washes. They call him directly. They don't even call the office if there's an issue. They've got his cell phone number. They call him directly and they're like, hey, Mike, this needs to be done. And Mike's like, okay. And then he drives in and does it and lets the office, most of the office can charge them for extra service or whatnot.
Wow.
But yeah, we just hired 2 new people.
You hired Andrew?
I don't know whether Andrew's one of them or not. I don't know. I just heard this morning. And then we have one more truck that's coming that we've already got the truck. We bought a pickup truck with a dump trailer on it.
For what?
And because they were going to convert it to, they were going to retire one of our older trucks, and they were just going to take the deck off of that, put it on there, and they were just going to sell the dump truck
Yeah.
back piece, right? Then they decided they weren't going to do that because they sent it to VacuTruck, and then they found out, this is hilarious because the mechanics should have been involved in this. They found out that you can't put a PTO on it. So it needs to have the old pump system with a separate Honda engine.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So they were like, okay,
we're your new one PTO?
Yeah. So they were like, okay, well, we're not going to do that. What we'll do is we're going to take that new truck and we're just going to put a flatbed on it. We're going to put a huge water tank on it so that we can use it for events like the air show and stuff like that, right? They can just drop the toilets and the guy in that truck can just drive by and just fill them full of water, right? And then they changed their mind on that. And they're like, well, no, we're going to put a deck on that because we actually need the trucks now. So they can't make up their mind what the hell they're doing.
How does the water not freeze in the winter?
We use brine.
Oh.
We empty the water out of the sinks and we take out the soap and we put hand sanitizer in it.
But how does the water on the trucks not freeze?
Well, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go ahead and do anything on your route. In the wintertime, you're supposed to go ahead and do anything on your route that requires water. Get those things done immediately so that your water doesn't freeze.
Okay.
Now, my truck, though, my truck is heated. It's got coolant that comes from the engine, and it's got coolant lines that go in, and there's a thing inside the water tank, keeps the water going. Collars on everything, has coolant going. So like today, I drove out to Kettle Point. So that's what, 35, 40-minute drive. And when I went there, I sucked out the toilet and then I threw my bucket underneath and I opened up the valve and the water came out and there was just steam just coming out.
Oh, really?
Because it's heated by the coolant circulating, right? So that's what they're supposed to do to all the trucks, all the new trucks that we get. So
Interesting.
which is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then our on my truck, my box that has my power washer in it and my garden hose, the box itself is heated as well. There's a heat button you just turn on your dash, and there's a little heater in there that heats it up so that your water doesn't freeze in those lines.
Do you have a lot of septic systems out in Sarnia?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So how come you guys aren't into septic?
We are. That's what our big trucks are for.
Oh, so you've only got wait a minute. So you've only got 4 or 5 that are for the porta potties.
Porta potties
And you've got separate
trailers.
trucks, and then you've got separate trucks for septic.
For septic and going into the plants to suck out
Oh,
big
okay.
pits. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd rather drive a truck for the porta potties or septic.
Septic's a lot more work, man. You got to locate that box and dig,
Yep.
and then you got to pull those 3-inch hoses or 4-inch
Yeah.
hoses.
No, I know, because when our cottage gets done, I have it all dug and I just can't lift that freaking lid. I can, but it's heavy, right? And it's like
Right.
can-
That's what when we do it, we try and sell risers as well. See if they want to install risers so that you don't have to really worry about digging. We tell most customers if they get a riser, just put like potted plants on top of the riser.
Yep.
Because then it hides it, right?
Yep. Yep.
Or plant a bush around it so that you can still walk into it, unscrew the lid, suck it out, put the lid back, and it's hidden. The worst is when they locate it underneath a deck. That's the best. We've had them where we've told the customer, we can't service that because we cannot get under your deck. You're going to have to take your deck apart to get at it. Because it's right underneath the deck.
System?
Yeah, and it's like this much room, like a foot and a half to go underneath that deck, and then you can't even lift up the lid
They
on
have
it.
to take off the deck boards.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was illegal to build over a septic.
A lot of people don't know. They just do
Gotcha.
until they need it serviced. Then they're like, oh shit. Then it's like, yeah, so you got to pull up your deck board. So what we would suggest you do is build like a trap door there so that you can remove it and get at it, right? Yeah, we've had that a couple of times. It's awful.
Wow.
But it is what it is.
That's good. Anything else going on?
No, not much of anything actually. Just crypto. Just watching crypto.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we're in a bull run or if we're in a fake out. I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's the Bitcoin halving happens next year.
Mhm.
So we'll see if that does anything to anything. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know.
I don't think it'll really do too much. All you're doing is just cutting the supply that you get per block. So
Correct.
It doesn't make it scarce. It just means less is being mined at one point in time.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm up to I think 1 3/4 coin now, just because I've been DCAing since 2022, January 2022. So slowly but surely, I'm just nicking away at it, and you can see more people talking about it on the radar, and it's like, yeah, I got caught up in that once, and I'm just sitting back watching.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get caught up in that whole $100,000 Bitcoin. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? It's gonna do what it's gonna do.
It'll get there. But
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, all these predictions of 2023, we're going to see a $50,000, $60,000 Bitcoin, perhaps.
Maybe it's at 40 right now, right? So or around there.
Well, Canadian, I have no idea. I just know the US dollar amount. So potentially
Yeah,
under 40
I
Canadian.
think it was around 40. I just seen a thing from CoinGecko said Ethereum was down 7.21%.
Yeah, I don't. Jesus, I hope I've got a couple of coins in that still, and it's like I hope that puppy gets back up there.
It will. It will.
But anyway,
It is what it is.
it is. It is. So anyway, well, I think we're going to cut this puppy off at the neck,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I will see you. I'll watch you on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know what time Friday though.
Oh, it'll
My
be
re-
late. It'll
my
be late.
revenue-
Yeah, you've had to. Who did you have on last weekend? What did you ever do with? What the hell were you doing when you were watching Nay?
Oh, that was Richie.
Someone
Richie
was. I
J-
came on. I plug into your channel, and then there's Nay, and it's like, what the hell's going on with this?
Yeah, Richie J. He's got one of those keyboards that plug into your computer, and you can program each button to do a different sound.
Oh my god!
So as Nay was saying stuff, he was hitting, like, if you go back and watch it and listen to the sounds it makes, it was perfect. It was spot on with every sound he picked. Every time Nay said something, it just, yeah.
Is he over in the UK? That guy?
Yeah, he is. He got butt hurt by Andrew.
He got what?
Butt hurt because of Andrew. Because Andrew was on Saturday. I think, yeah, it was Saturday. And then I popped Richie on. And then Andrew's like, well, who's this fat guy from the office or whatever? And then Richie he just left. And then he was like, the hell with this. I'm never doing live streams again. And I was like, dude, it's my channel. You're supposed to stay and say, Andrew, you look like some weird, ugly alien. I'm like, you're supposed to give it and take it, but at the end, right? Some people I've been having on, they don't get it. They're not there,
They don't dish it back to him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then I saw the other young guy on the Looney Tunes guy.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah.
Brandon.
I promised him some time.
Brandon. So.
Yeah.
Oh well, it is what it is, right? It's an open affair, and people just have to learn that you don't take it the wrong way. Your feelings may get hurt, but just push it back and just give it back to them.
Yeah, and if you don't want your feelings to get hurt, then stay in the chat.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. Yeah, because it's I hear you. All right, brother.
Yes, sir. We will catch you later.
All right, don't work too hard.
Yeah, try not to.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, chat. Bye, everybody.
See you guys.
Forgot we were still alive. We're still live. Ha! Ha! Look at this. I'm taking over the stream. Who's all here? Who's all here? Still says it's live. Anybody here? Look. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Danter Banter 2.0. Anybody here? Anybody here? Do you like my hair? Hey, Sherb, what's going on? I am the new host of the Danter Banter. I get the keys to the kingdom. Damn it!
Oh, I'm like, what the hell did I push? And then I'm going on tabs, and I get on my YouTube channel. It says live. I'm like, how the hell can it be live? I just accidentally X'd out, and you're like, what is he doing? What is he doing? I forgot to hit end broadcast. He's probably there dancing around nude or something like that. got his
Hey.
hair in a ponytail or something, you know.
Sheriff likes it.
For real, we're ending the broadcast.
Yes. Good night, Gracie.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. Jesus Christ, it better work this time.